Are you my daddies? Father? Where are you? Appa. My daughter just texted 3 ruthless alphas daddies. And they saw it. The phone slipped from my fingers, hitting the floor with a crack that echoed through our tiny apartment. My heart hammered against my ribs as I stared at the screen, the blue light illuminating my trembling hands. Appa, did I do something bad? Hana's small voice broke through my panic, her eyes wide with confusion. I forced a smile, kneeling beside my 5-year-old daughter. No, baby, it's okay. But it wasn't. Nothing would ever be okay again. On the screen, the message sat in a group chat I'd forgotten existed. Triplet Alpha Command Group. A group I'd been removed from years ago, but somehow remained lurking in the shadows of my contacts. Hana had been playing with my phone while I dozed off after my double shift. She'd found an old photo of the triplets, Joon-ho, Min-jae, and Taekyung, and sent it with a voice message that made my blood run cold. Are you my daddies? Father. Where are you? Appa. 5 years of hiding. 5 years of building a new life. All undone in 15 seconds by a child who didn't know any better. I grabbed the phone, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it. 3 dots appeared. They were typing. After 5 years of silence, they were responding. Joon-ho. Who is this? Min-jae. Trace the number. Taekyung. Found him. Seoul, District 7. My scent soured with fear, filling our small apartment. Hana wrinkled her nose, her own sweet honeysuckle scent tinged with confusion. She didn't understand what was happening. But her Omega instincts sensed my distress. Appa, your eyes are leaking, she whispered, reaching up to touch my face. I hadn't realized I was crying. I should have changed my number. I should have deleted the app. I should have been more careful. But after 5 years, I'd grown complacent, believing they'd forgotten about me. The Omega who'd once been promised to all 3 of them before everything fell apart, before the moon trials, before my fall from Alpha Air, before the night I fled, carrying their child, a secret I swore would die with me. The phone buzzed again, a single message from Joon-ho, the eldest triplet. An Omega with a child, our child. You've been busy, Haneul. My stomach dropped. They knew it was me. Of course they did. My scent had been imprinted on them during that one heat, the night everything changed. I grabbed Hana's favorite stuffed wolf and her backpack. Baby, we need to go on an adventure, okay? Right now. But it's nighttime, Appa. I know, sweetheart. That's what makes it special. I forced brightness into my voice while shoving essentials into a duffel bag. Suppressants, Hana's medicine, our documents, the emergency cash I'd been saving. The phone buzzed again. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. Min-jae. Don't run, little Omega. You know we'll find you. Taekyung. We always do. A memory flashed. Taekyung's golden eyes glowing in the dark as he tracked me through the forest during training. No Omega escapes the moon pack, he'd whispered against my neck before claiming victory. That was before. Before I became something no one expected, an Omega who could fight back. I zipped up Hana's coat and grabbed my keys. We'd leave through the back, take the bus to my friend Jiho's place across town. He was a beta who owed me his life. He'd hide us until I figured out our next move. Appa, why are you scared? Hana asked, her small hand clutching mine as we moved toward the door. I knelt down, looking into her eyes, golden like theirs, but soft like mine. Sometimes, baby, we have to be brave even when we're scared. Can you be brave for Appa? She nodded solemnly, her little chin jutting out in determination. My heart ached. She was so much like them, stubborn, proud, fearless. As I reached for the door handle, headlights flashed through our window, illuminating the small living room in harsh white light. Not one car, but 3 black SUVs pulling up outside our apartment building. My phone buzzed one final time. Joon-ho. Open the door, Haneul. It's time to come home. I clutched Hana to my chest, her small heart beating against mine as I whispered, "They found us." Knock, knock, knock. 3 distinct beats against my door, rhythmic, dominant, unmistakably alpha. My body responded before my mind could catch up, Omega instincts recognizing the pattern of those who once owned me. "Hana," I whispered, guiding her toward the small closet in my bedroom. "Remember our hiding game? I need you to be the champion tonight." Her golden eyes widened with excitement rather than fear. "Like when the bad men came before?" My heart clenched. Even at 5, she remembered the debt collectors who'd threatened us last year. "Yes, baby. Stay quiet until I come get you, no matter what you hear." "I promise, Appa." She clutched her stuffed wolf and disappeared into the closet. I closed the door, my fingers lingering on the wood. If they took me, Ji-ho would find her. We had a plan. We always had a plan. Knock, knock, knock. Harder this time. Impatient. I pressed my forehead against the bedroom wall, trying to calm my racing heart. Memories crashed through the barriers I'd built. Joon-ho, the eldest triplet, sitting silently as the Pack Council voted to strip me of my status. His eyes never meeting mine, though we'd shared a bed just hours before. His silence hurt more than any words could have. Min-jae, the middle triplet, calculating the political damage of my situation with cold logic. The Pack cannot afford an Omega heir who failed the moon trials. It's simple mathematics, Haneul. He'd said it while tracing patterns on my naked back, as if discussing the weather. Taekyung, the youngest by minutes, the most volatile, his angry betrayal when he discovered I'd been meeting with rival packs. "You're nothing but a political whore," he'd snarled, not letting me explain that I was gathering intelligence for our pack, not against it. All 3 had marked me during my unexpected heat. All 3 had abandoned me when I needed them most. Bang. The front door shuddered. "We can break it down, or you can open it, little Omega. Your choice." Min-jae's voice, still precise and measured after all these years. I straightened my shoulders and walked to the door. 5 years ago, I'd crawled away from them, broken and pregnant. Tonight, I would face them standing. I opened the door. They filled the frame completely. 3 towering alphas in black suits, their golden eyes glowing in the dim hallway light. They'd grown more powerful, more beautiful, more terrifying. Joon-ho stood in the center, his broad shoulders blocking most of the view. His face remained impassive, but his scent, pine and smoke, betrayed his agitation. Min-jae stood to his right, analyzing me with clinical detachment, his silver-rimmed glasses catching the light. Taekyung flanked Joon-ho's left, barely containing the energy vibrating through his lean frame, his hands clenching and unclenching at his sides. "Haneul." Joon-ho spoke my name, like a command. I stepped back, allowing them to enter. Not from submission, but strategy. Better here than making a scene in the hallway where neighbors might call police. They moved into my small apartment like wolves entering a den, scenting the air, taking inventory of my life, my humble furniture, my textbooks from night school, Hana's drawings on the refrigerator. 5 years, Taekyung growled, his voice deeper than I remembered. 5 fucking years you've been here. Language, Min-jae murmured, picking up a framed photo of Hana at her preschool. Interesting. The child appears healthy. "Put that down," I snapped, snatching the frame from his hands. "You have no right." "We have every right," Joon-ho said quietly, his voice sending involuntary shivers down my spine. "Whose child is she, Haneul?" The question hung in the air between us. I almost laughed at the absurdity, as if they couldn't guess, as if they couldn't smell it. Does it matter? I challenged, meeting his gaze directly, something no Omega was supposed to do with an Alpha. You all made your choice when you let the council exile me. Taekyung moved so fast I barely saw him. Suddenly, he was inches from my face. His scent, cedar and rain, overwhelming my senses. We searched for you, he hissed. For months, you disappeared. I had help, I admitted, thinking of Joon-ho and the network of betas who'd smuggled me out of Pac territory. From whom? Min-jae asked, his interest piqued. None of your business. Joon-ho hadn't moved, but his eyes hadn't left me either. The child, he repeated. Is she mine? Before I could answer, a small sneeze came from the bedroom. All three alphas froze, their heads turning in perfect unison toward the sound. No, I whispered, moving to block their path. Please. But Joon-ho was already striding toward my bedroom, his authority filling the space like a physical force. I followed, desperate, the other two triplets close behind. He opened the closet door. Hana looked up, her golden eyes wide but unafraid. Are you my Appa too? She asked, with a child's directness. The scent hit them all at once, honeysuckle and sunshine, undercut with notes of pine, cedar, and something uniquely her own, but unmistakably carrying markers of all three alphas. Joon-ho staggered back a step. Min-jae's glasses slipped down his nose. Taekyung made a sound like he'd been punched. Impossible, Min-jae whispered. The genetic probability of... She's ours, Taekyung interrupted, dropping to his knees to get closer to Hana's level. All of ours. I pulled Hana behind me protectively. She's mine. I raised her. I protected her. I was there for every fever, every nightmare, every first. While we weren't, Joon-ho said, his voice strangely hollow. Because you didn't tell us. Would it have mattered? I challenged. You chose the pack over me. We chose wrong, Joon-ho said simply. The words I'd waited 5 years to hear. They hit me like a physical blow. Suddenly, a strange warmth spread across my chest. I gasped, clutching at my shirt. The 3 bite marks, one at the junction of my neck and shoulder, one over my heart, one at the base of my spine, began to burn. The triplets felt it too. Joon-ho's hand went to his forearm. Min-jae touched his chest. Taekyung grabbed his side. Places where I had marked them in return during that frenzied heat. Our marks, dormant for 5 years, began to glow with a soft golden light. The bond, Min-jae whispered. Scientific detachment, giving way to awe. It's not broken. It's awakening, Taekyung finished, his eyes wide with shock. Joon-ho looked at me, then at Hana, understanding dawning in his eyes. She's the catalyst. Our daughter completed the circle. I clutched Hana closer as the marks pulsed in unison, connecting the 4 of us in a bond that should have been impossible, a bond that had been sleeping, waiting for the moment when we were all together again. Rain pattered against the window, each drop a memory breaking through the dam I'd built in my mind. The sound took me back to that night. The night everything shattered. Why? Joon-ho's question cut through the tension in the room. Why did you run, Haneul? I looked at each of them, these alphas who had once been my world, then at Hana, who watched with curious eyes from behind my legs, my daughter, my reason. Because the pack would have killed her, I said simply. The words landed like stones in still water. Min-jae's analytical expression faltered. Taekyung's eyes widened in disbelief. Joon-ho remained impassive, but his scent soured with shock. That's not possible, Min-jae said, adjusting his glasses. The pack protects its young. Pure-blooded young, I corrected bitterly. not the offspring of a failed Omega. The rain grew heavier, drumming against the glass, and I was back there again. The moon trials. The final test for any Omega with aspirations beyond breeding. I'd trained for years, pushing my body beyond what Omegas were supposed to endure. I'd earned my place as potential heir, the first Omega in generations considered worthy to lead. Until that night. The arena lights harsh against the mud. My opponents, all alphas, circling me with contempt in their eyes. I'd beaten 3 already, using speed and strategy where they relied on brute strength. Then, Min-jae's voice cutting through the crowd. He's wearing scent neutralizers. Check him. The accusation of deception, the pack elders approaching, the humiliation of being stripped and scented in front of everyone. Joon-ho standing with the council, his face a mask, saying nothing as they dragged me away. Taekyung watching from the shadows, his eyes burning with something I couldn't name, rage, betrayal, desire. I hadn't cheated. I'd simply learned to control my scent, another skill Omegas weren't supposed to have. I was pregnant during the trials, I said, pulling myself back to the present. I didn't know it then, but Elder Kyung did, after they scented me. He told me that night what would happen. What did he say? Joon-ho's voice was dangerously quiet. That a child of 3 alphas and 1 Omega would be an abomination. That it would be taken care of after birth. My voice cracked. That I would be kept as a breeding vessel, but never allowed to see my own child. Taekyung's control slipped first. His scent, cedar and rain, now tinged with rage, flooded the small apartment. His eyes flashed red as he paced the room like a caged animal. Elder Kyung is dead, he growled. I'll kill whoever else was part of this. You can't kill the entire council, Min-jae said, pragmatically, though his own scent had sharpened with anger. Watch me. Joon-ho remained still, his eyes never leaving my face. You should have come to us. The simple statement broke something in me. To you? I laughed bitterly. You stood there while they stripped me of everything. You watched as they called me a cheater, a liar, a worthless Omega who forgot his place. We didn't know, Min-jae began. You didn't want to know, I snapped. It was easier to believe I'd betrayed you than to admit you might have chosen an Omega who was your equal. Hana tugged at my pants, disturbed by the tension. Appa, you smell sad. I knelt down, trying to calm my scent for her sake. It's okay, baby. Just grown-up talk. Taekyung moved suddenly, crossing the room to grab my wrist. His touch sent electricity through my body, the dormant bond between us flaring to life. He pulled me close, his lips near my ear. Why didn't you tell me? He whispered, his voice breaking. That night in the forest, when I found you packing. You said you were going to visit your grandmother. I knew you were lying, but I let you go. The memory hit me with physical force, Taekyung finding me as I prepared to flee, his eyes suspicious, but his hands gentle as they traced my face. The lie I'd told, the way he'd stepped aside, giving me one night of freedom before what we all thought would be my formal punishment. He hadn't known I'd never return. Would you have believed me? I asked, meeting his gaze. If I'd told you I was carrying a child that shouldn't exist? That your own pack wanted it dead? His grip tightened. I would have protected you both. You couldn't even protect me in the arena. The words were cruel, but true. He flinched as if I'd struck him. Enough. Joon-ho's command voice filled the room, making all of us, even Hana, stand straighter. What's done is done. The question now is what happens next. Min-jae had been watching Hana with increasing interest. The child shows no signs of rejection sickness. 3 alpha fathers should have created genetic instability, yet she appears perfectly healthy. Fascinating. She has a name, I said coldly. It's Hana. Hana, Joon-ho repeated, kneeling down to her level. Do you know what you are, little one? She looked at him with innocent curiosity. I'm an Omega like Appa, but sometimes I get really angry and Appa has to help me calm down. The three alphas exchanged glances. Show me your eyes when you're angry, Joon-ho said gently. Can you do that? Hana looked at me for permission. I hesitated, then nodded. She closed her eyes, her small face scrunching in concentration. When she opened them again, they flashed golden, not the warm amber of an Omega, but the brilliant gold of an Alpha in command. Joon-ho's breath caught. Min-jae dropped the notebook he'd been writing in. Taekyung made a sound of pure wonder. She's not just a child, Joon-ho whispered, awe replacing the stoicism that had been his shield. She's the heir, the true heir to the moon pack. The rain stopped suddenly, leaving only the sound of 5 hearts beating in a room, charged with possibility and danger. A sharp knock at the door cut through the tension. All 3 alphas moved at once, Joon-ho stepping in front of Hana, Taekyung flanking my left, Min-jae positioning himself by the window for tactical advantage. It's Dr. Seo, a woman's voice called. Haneul, I know they're here. Let me in before someone sees me. My heart skipped. Mira. My only ally from the research lab, the beta who'd helped me understand what was happening to my body during pregnancy. I moved toward the door, but Taekyung caught my arm. Who is she? He growled. The reason Hana and I are alive, I replied, pulling free of his grip. I opened the door to reveal Mira, her lab coat damp from the rain, her eyes wide with urgency. She slipped inside, clutching a tablet to her chest. You shouldn't have come back, she whispered to me, before turning to face the triplets. And you 3 have just confirmed every theory I've been working on for 5 years. Dr. Seo Mira, Min-jae recognized her first, head of genetic research at Moonpack Labs. Former head, she corrected. I was dismissed when I questioned the council's breeding programs. Hana peeked out from behind Joon-ho's legs. Mira's expression softened as she knelt down. Hello, little miracle. You've grown so much. You delivered her, I explained to the triplets, when no one else would help an Omega in labor. Mira stood, her professional demeanor returning. We don't have much time. The council knows you're here, Haneul. They've been monitoring unusual energy signatures in the city for months. Energy signatures? Min-jae asked, his scientific curiosity piqued. Mira tapped her tablet, projecting a holographic display of swirling colors, red, blue, and gold intertwining. This is a standard Alpha-Omega bond. She swiped to a new image, a complex web of the same colors, but with a bright white light at the center. And this is what happens when 3 alphas bond with 1 Omega, creating a hybrid child. The image pulsed in time with Hana's breathing. She's a hybrid born of all 3 alphas' bonds, Mira explained. Something that should be genetically impossible. But how? Min-jae moved closer to the display, fascinated. The moon prophecy, Joon-ho said quietly, surprising us all. A child of 3 bloodlines, born to unite or destroy the packs. Mira's eyes widened. You know of it? My grandfather spoke of it before he died. I thought it was just a story. It's no story, Mira said grimly. The council has been trying to engineer such a child for generations, forcing compatible alphas to share omegas. But it never worked, until you 3 naturally chose the same mate. The realization hit me like a physical blow. They didn't exile me because I failed the trials, I whispered. They did it because they wanted to control Hana. Mira nodded. A child with the power of 3 alpha bloodlines could command any pack. The council wanted that power for themselves. They'll never touch her, Taekyung snarled, his protective pheromones filling the room. They're already coming, Min-jae warned. I intercepted communications. They know the energy signature spiked tonight when you all reunited. I moved to Hana, pulling her into my arms. We need to leave. Now. And go where? Min-jae asked, ever practical. The council has resources everywhere. Come back to the pack house, Joon-ho said, his voice steady. We've made changes since our father died. The Triplet Alliance controls most of the territory now. You want us to go back to the place that tried to kill my daughter? I laughed bitterly. I want you under our protection, Joon-ho replied. Both of you. Taekyung moved closer, his hand brushing mine. I swear on my life, Haneul, no one will harm either of you. Min-jae adjusted his glasses. Logically, it's the safest option. We have security, resources, and home territory advantage. I looked at each of them, these alphas who had once abandoned me, now offering protection. Could I trust them again? Did I have a choice? Mira's tablet beeped urgently. Multiple vehicles approaching from the south. Council security forces. Decide now, Haneul, Joon-ho pressed. Before I could answer, Hana screamed. The window shattered inward, showering the room with glass as a metal canister bounced across the floor, releasing thick smoke. They're here, Min-jae gasped. The smoke billowed through my apartment as black armored figures swung through the broken window. Council enforcers, wolves trained to hunt and kill without question. Chaos erupted. Joon-ho roared, his alpha voice shaking the walls as he transformed partially, claws extending, eyes blazing gold. He caught the first enforcer by the throat and hurled him back through the window. Min-jae moved with calculated precision, his transformation more controlled. He disabled two enforcers with quick strikes to pressure points, his glasses somehow still perfectly positioned on his nose. Taekyung was pure fury, fully shifted into his wolf form, a massive black beast tearing through the enforcers who dared approach Hana and me. I clutched my daughter to my chest, backing toward the bedroom. Mira! I called through the smoke. She appeared at my side, pressing something into my hand. Suppressant neutralizer. You'll need your full strength. I stared at the injector. For 5 years, I'd taken suppressants to hide what I was, not just an Omega, but something more. Something the Council had tried to create in their labs. An enforcer broke through, grabbing for Hana. Without thinking, I plunged the injector into my thigh. Fire raced through my veins as 5 years of suppressed power awakened. My vision sharpened, sounds intensified, and my scent, the one I'd hidden for so long, exploded outward. The enforcer froze mid-lunge, his eyes widening behind his mask. Around the room, every movement ceased as my pheromones filled the space. Even the triplets paused, turning to stare at me in shock. I set Hana down behind me and stepped forward, feeling power course through my body. Leave, I commanded. My voice layered with something that no Omega should possess. Alpha command. The enforcers trembled, caught between my command and their loyalty to the Council. Impossible, Min-jae whispered, watching as my eyes shifted color. Not Omega Amber or Alpha Gold, but a swirling mixture of both. I raised my hand, focusing my scent into a concentrated wave that slammed into the remaining enforcers. They dropped to their knees, necks bared in involuntary submission. Joon-ho stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. What are you? Before I could answer, slow applause echoed from the doorway. A tall figure stepped through the smoke, elegant, silver-haired, with eyes like Arctic ice. Yoon Dae-hyun, the Council's chief enforcer and head scientist. Magnificent, he said, his cold gaze fixed on me. After all these years, you're still my greatest creation. The triplets moved protectively around Hana and me, but Dae-hyun seemed unconcerned. "Did you never tell them, Haneul?" he asked, his voice silky with amusement. "About the experiments? About what we made you into?" "Shut up," I hissed, fear and rage battling within me. "You see," Dae-hyun continued, addressing the triplets, "Haneul isn't just any Omega. He's a perfect bond vessel, engineered from birth to carry multiple alpha bonds." Min-jae stepped forward. "You had no right to modify his genetics without consent." "Rights?" Dae-hyun laughed. "We're creating the future of our species. The child was phase 1. Haneul is phase 2. "What is he talking about?" Taekyung demanded, his eyes never leaving Dae-hyun. I couldn't speak, shame and rage choking me. The secret I'd kept, even from Min-jae. "Tell them how you came to the moon pack, Haneul," Dae-hyun prompted. "Tell them who your parents were." "I was an orphan," I whispered. "The pack took me in." "We created you," Dae-hyun corrected, "in a lab, from the genetic material of our strongest bloodlines. You were designed to bond with multiple alphas and produce hybrid offspring." The room spun around me as my deepest fear was confirmed. I wasn't a person to them. I was a vessel, an experiment. "That's why the trials were a sham," Dae-hyun continued. "We needed to see if you could access alpha traits. And you did, beautifully. But then you ran, taking our prize specimen with you." He gestured toward Hana, who clutched Mira's hand, her eyes wide with fear. Joon-ho's growl rumbled through the room. "Touch either of them and die." Dae-hyun smiled thinly. "The council anticipated your attachment. That's why I brought insurance." He snapped his fingers, and 4 more enforcers entered, dragging a bloodied figure between them. Ji-ho, my friend, the beta who had helped us escape. "No," I breathed. "I made you, Haneul," Dae-hyun said softly. "You were never free." Cold metal against my wrists, the hum of fluorescent lights, the antiseptic smell of a lab I thought I'd never see again. I blinked awake, finding myself strapped to an examination table. Across the room, the triplets were bound with reinforced silver chains, the kind that weakened alpha strength. Ji-ho lay unconscious in a corner, his breathing shallow. No sign of Hana or Min-jae. "Where is my daughter?" I demanded, struggling against my restraints. "Safe," Dae-hyun's voice echoed as he entered the abandoned lab. "For now." The room was familiar, one of the old research facilities beneath the Moonpack territory, where I'd spent countless hours being tested as a child, before I was deemed ready to join the pack as a seemingly normal orphan. "You won't get away with this," Joon-ho said, his voice steady despite the silver burning his skin. "The pack will notice we're missing." Dae-hyun smiled thinly. "Your assistants believe you're on an emergency diplomatic mission. By the time anyone realizes the truth, our work will be complete." "What work?" Min-jae asked, his analytical mind still functioning despite our situation. Dae-hyun approached a control panel, bringing up holographic displays of DNA strands and brain scans. Project Moonlight. The creation of a unified pack through selective breeding. My stomach turned as images of myself as a child appeared, strapped to tables similar to this one, needles in my arms, scientists taking notes. "For generations, the packs have fought for dominance," Dae-hyun continued. "The council theorized that a child born of multiple alpha bloodlines could command all packs, ending the wars through forced unification." "So you created Haneul?" Taekyung growled, his eyes burning with rage. "We created the perfect vessel," Dae-hyun corrected. "An Omega with enhanced receptivity to alpha bonds, capable of carrying genetic material from multiple sources without rejection." The words cut deeper than any knife. Everything I thought I was, my struggles, my achievements, my very identity, reduced to a laboratory experiment. But we needed the right alphas, Dae-hyun continued, bringing up images of the triplets as teenagers. 3 from the same birth, sharing blood but with distinct dominant traits. Leadership. He nodded to Joon-ho. Intelligence. Min-jae. Strength. Taekyung. You engineered our meeting, Min-jae realized, his face paling, our attraction to him. We created the optimal conditions, Dae-hyun agreed. Pheromone compatibility, shared interests, convenient encounters. The rest. He smiled coldly. Nature took its course. I couldn't breathe. Every memory of us together now tainted. The first time Joon-ho spoke to me in the library, Min-jae tutoring me in sciences, Taekyung challenging me to spar when no other alpha would train with an Omega. All orchestrated. All fake. The bond was real, Joon-ho said suddenly. His eyes finding mine across the room. Whatever brought us together, what we felt, was real. Sentiment, Dae-hyun dismissed. The experiment was proceeding perfectly until the moon trials. We needed to test Haneul's alpha traits, but we underestimated the council's fear. Some members wanted him eliminated as an abomination. So you let them exile me, I whispered. A miscalculation, Dae-hyun admitted. We didn't know you were already pregnant. By the time we realized, you disappeared. Mira helped me, I said, hoping to protect her by claiming she'd acted on my behalf alone. Dr. Seo will face consequences for her interference, Dae-hyun said dismissively. But she did keep our specimen alive and healthy, so perhaps some leniency is warranted. Hana is not a specimen, I snarled, pulling against my restraints until my wrists bled. She's a child, my child. She is the future, Dae-hyun corrected. The first successful hybrid of 3 alpha bloodlines, and now that we have you all together again, we can complete the bond as intended. He pressed a button, and the ceiling retracted, revealing the night sky. A blood moon hung low and heavy, bathing the lab in crimson light. The lunar eclipse, Min-jae murmured. Maximum bond potential. Precisely, Dae-hyun smiled. Tonight, the bond will be completed. The child's powers will awaken fully, and the new era of pack unification will begin. A door slid open, and 2 scientists entered with Hana between them. She looked unharmed, but frightened, her small face pale in the red moonlight. Appa, she cried when she saw me. It's okay, baby, I called, trying to keep my voice steady. Everything's going to be okay. The scientists placed her on a small examination table in the center of the room, directly beneath the blood moon's glow. Don't touch her! Taekyung roared, his chains groaning as he strained against them. We won't harm her, Dae-hyun assured him. We simply need to facilitate the bond completion. Once the connection between all 5 of you is stabilized, the council can begin the unification process. 5? Min-jae questioned. The 3 alphas, the Omega vessel, and the hybrid child, Dae-hyun explained. A perfect circle of power. I looked at the triplets, these men who had once been my everything. Had any of it been real? Or was I simply programmed to love them? As if reading my thoughts, Joon-ho caught my gaze. Even if it was fate, he said quietly, I still chose you. Every day, every moment, I chose you. Taekyung nodded fiercely. They might have put us together, but they didn't tell me to love you. Statistically improbable emotions aside, Min-jae added, his voice softening. What we built was ours. Something warm unfurled in my chest, despite everything, a feeling that no scientist could have engineered. Dae-hyun checked his monitors. The eclipse reaches totality in 3 minutes. Prepare the bond catalysts. The scientists approached Hana with a syringe. She whimpered, trying to pull away. No! I screamed, channeling every ounce of my hybrid strength into breaking free. The restraints cut into my wrists. blood dripping onto the floor. The moment my blood touched the ground beneath the blood moon, something changed. Hana's eyes flew open, glowing not gold or amber, but pure white light. "What's happening?" one of the scientists gasped, backing away. Hana's small body began to levitate inches above the table, crimson moonlight and white energy swirling around her. The air crackled with power. "Containment protocols!" Taekyung shouted, but it was too late. A pulse of energy burst from Hana's body, cracking the lab walls and shattering equipment. The scientists were thrown back, collapsing in heaps against the far wall. Taekyung stared in awe and terror. "The prophecy," he whispered. "It's happening too soon." The room glowed with lunar energy, bathing everything in crimson and white light. Hana floated in the center, her eyes twin beacons of power, her small face serene despite the chaos around her. "Hana," I called, my voice breaking with fear and wonder. "Baby, can you hear me?" She turned toward me, her expression oddly adult. "I can hear all of you, Appa." The bite marks on my body, Joon-ho's at my neck, Min-jae's over my heart, Taekyung's at the base of my spine, ignited with golden fire. Across the room, the triplets gasped as their own marks blazed to life. I could feel them. Not just their presence, but everything. Joon-ho's steady determination, Min-jae's racing calculations, Taekyung's protective rage. Their memories flooded my mind. Joon-ho, standing silent at my exile, then returning to his quarters to destroy everything in blind fury. His private vow to find me, to make things right. Min-jae, researching for months, following every lead, blaming himself for not seeing the council's true intentions sooner. Taekyung, tracking me through 4 cities before losing my trail, getting drunk on full moon nights because the bond ached too much when the moon was high. Their guilt, their longing, their love. It overwhelmed me, bringing tears to my eyes. "I feel you," I whispered. "All of you." "The bond," Min-jae gasped. "It's completing itself." A thin line of golden light extended from each triplet to me, then from me to Hana, creating a star pattern with her at the center. I noticed for the first time a small birthmark on her wrist. A crescent moon that now glowed with the same golden light as our bond marks. Min-jae suddenly cried out, collapsing against his restraints. "Too much data," he groaned, his scientific mind overwhelmed by the emotional influx. Taekyung shifted partially, using his enhanced strength to position himself protectively despite his chains. "Fight it, Min. Focus on me." Joon-ho remained focused on Hana. "She's channeling the moon's power," he observed, "but it's too much for her body." He was right. Despite her serene expression, I could see the strain in her small frame. The power was burning through her too quickly. "We need to help her," I said, pulling against my restraints with renewed determination. The golden threads connecting us pulsed, and suddenly, my restraints snapped. I fell to the floor, catching myself on hands and knees as power surged through my body. I wasn't just an Omega anymore. I wasn't just a vessel. I was something new, something created, but not controlled. I stood, feeling strength flow through me. With quick movements, I freed Joon-ho first, checking his pulse, steady, but weak. "Get him out of here," I told the triplets as I moved to release them. "I'll get Hana." "You can't control this," Taekyung warned, backing toward the exit. The bond completion was meant to be regulated, monitored. "You never understood what you created," I replied, snapping Taekyung's chains first. He immediately moved to free his brothers while I approached my floating daughter. "Hana," I called softly. "It's time to come down now." Her glowing eyes fixed on me. "I can see everything, Appa. All the packs, all the bonds. So many colors." "I know, baby, but it's too much for now. We need to go." The lab shuddered as another wave of energy pulsed from her. Cracks spread across the ceiling, chunks of concrete falling around us. "The structure is compromised," Min-jae warned, supporting himself against Joon-ho. "We have approximately 3 minutes before complete collapse." Taekyung lifted Ji-ho over his shoulder. "Which way out?" "East corridor leads to the old emergency exit," I said, remembering the lab's layout from my childhood. "If it hasn't been sealed." Joon-ho approached Hana cautiously. "Little one," he said, his alpha voice gentle but commanding. "We need to leave. Will you come with us?" To my surprise, she nodded, the light in her eyes dimming slightly. She drifted down into his waiting arms, her small body going limp as the power receded. "Is she—" I started, panic rising. "Sleeping," Joon-ho assured me, cradling her protectively. "Her pulse is strong." Relief flooded me as we moved toward the exit, Taekyung leading with Ji-ho, Min-jae, and I in the middle, Joon-ho bringing up the rear with Hana. "This changes nothing," Taekyung called after us, his composure cracking. "The council will find you. The experiment will continue." I turned back, facing the man who had created me, who had treated my daughter as a specimen. "You're wrong. This changes everything." I reached for the moonlight streaming through the broken ceiling, feeling it respond to my call. The crimson light gathered around my hand, condensing into a glowing orb. "Impossible," Taekyung whispered. "That's an alpha trait." "I'm not just an Omega," I replied. "I'm whatever you made me. And now, I'm taking back control." I released the moonlight in a focused beam that shattered the remaining restraint tables and destroyed the lab equipment. Decades of research, of cruel experiments, gone in seconds. Taekyung's face contorted with rage. "If I can't control the prophecy," he snarled, pulling a small device from his pocket, "I'll erase it." He pressed a button on the detonator. Red lights began flashing throughout the lab as an automated voice announced, "Self-destruct sequence initiated. 5 minutes to detonation." "Run!" Joon-ho commanded, and we fled toward the exit as the first explosion rocked the facility behind us. Smoke, debris, silence. I came to consciousness slowly, each breath burning my lungs. The weight of concrete pressed against my legs, pinning me to the ground. Above, the night sky was visible through a massive hole in what remained of the lab ceiling. The blood moon had passed, leaving only stars watching impassively. "Hana?" I called, my voice a ragged whisper. "Joon-ho? Taekyung? Min-jae?" A groan answered from somewhere to my left. I turned my head to see Taekyung pushing himself up from beneath a fallen beam, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead. His eyes found mine, wild with panic. "Haneul," he rasped, stumbling toward me. "Don't move." He heaved the concrete slab off my legs with a grunt of effort. The pain hit immediately, sharp and blinding, but nothing felt broken. Alpha healing was already knitting my tissues back together, another gift from my engineered genetics. "The others?" I asked as he helped me sit up. "Min-jae's over there." He nodded toward a pile of rubble where I could make out Min-jae's silver-rimmed glasses, miraculously intact despite being covered in dust. Their owner was slowly regaining consciousness, methodically checking himself for injuries. 3 cracked ribs, minor concussion, laceration to left forearm, Min-jae reported clinically, though his voice shook slightly. "Functional." "Joon-ho?" I asked, dread building as I scanned the destruction. A section of wall shifted and Joon-ho emerged, his clothing torn and burned, but his expression as controlled as ever. "I'm here," he said, limping toward us. "Ji-ho's alive too. I pulled him clear before the main explosion." Relief flooded me until I realized who was still missing. "Hana," I whispered, panic rising. "Where's Hana?" The four of us exchanged horrified glances before scrambling through the rubble, calling her name. Joon-ho, barely conscious, pointed weakly toward a collapsed corridor. "She walked that way," he managed before passing out again. "Walked?" Min-jae questioned. "After that energy expenditure, she shouldn't have been able to—" "Not now." Taekyung growled, already heading toward the corridor. We followed, climbing over fallen beams and shattered concrete. The lab had been built beneath an old industrial district in Seoul, and the explosion had collapsed, not just the facility, but several abandoned buildings above. Fires burned across the skyline, emergency sirens wailing in the distance. "The council will have people here soon," Joon-ho warned as we emerged onto a devastated street. "We need to find her quickly." I closed my eyes, reaching for the bond that connected me to my daughter. It flickered like a distant candle, alive but faint. "She's moving north," I said, opening my eyes, "toward the mountains." "The old pack territory," Min-jae realized. We moved as quickly as our injuries allowed, Taekyung carrying the still unconscious Joon-ho. The city thinned as we approached the foothills, destruction giving way to eerie calm. A storm was brewing, lightning illuminating the mountain peaks. "I don't understand," I said as we climbed. "How could she have gotten this far on her own?" "The prophecy," Joon-ho replied grimly. "If she truly is the unification heir, her powers go beyond anything we can comprehend." "She's 5 years old," I snapped, fear making my voice sharp. "She's not some mystical being. She's my daughter." "She's both," Min-jae said quietly. "Just as you are both Omega and something more." The rain began to fall as we reached a clearing. I stopped, overwhelmed by exhaustion and despair. 5 years of running, of building a life for us, all destroyed in a single night. My daughter missing, possibly hurt. Definitely changed by whatever power had awakened in her. Something broke inside me. I fell to my knees in the mud and screamed, a primal sound of rage and fear and grief that echoed across the mountainside. My scent exploded outward, carrying my desperation into the storm. The triplets surrounded me, their own scents rising to blend with mine, pine and smoke, cedar and rain, sandalwood and snow. Our combined pheromones created something new, something powerful, that rode the wind up the mountain. For a moment, only the rain answered. Then, faint but unmistakable, a child's scent drifted back to us, honeysuckle and sunshine, calling to me. "There!" I gasped, pointing toward a rocky outcropping above us. We scrambled up the muddy slope, the triplets forming a protective triangle around me as we climbed. At the top, a small cave opened into the mountainside, a faint glow emanating from within. "Hana?" I called, approaching cautiously. The glow intensified, and then she appeared at the cave entrance. My daughter, yet somehow not. Her feet hovered inches above the ground, her nightgown pristine despite the destruction she'd passed through. Her eyes shone silver in the darkness. "Appa," she said, her voice layered with echoes. "You came." I moved toward her, but Joon-ho caught my arm. "Wait," he warned. "Something's different." "She's my daughter," I said, pulling free. "And she's channeling something ancient," Min-jae observed. "Look at her eyes." I approached slowly, kneeling before her floating form. "Hana, baby, it's Appa. Can you come down now? We need to go home." Her head tilted, a gesture so familiar it broke my heart. "Home," she repeated, as if testing the word. "But the moon is calling, Appa. Can't you hear it?" A chill ran through me. What is the moon saying, baby? Her silver eyes fixed on something beyond us. "It says the old ways are returning. The packs must unite or perish." Her gaze returned to me, suddenly childlike again. I'm scared, Appa. The triplets had moved closer, forming a circle around us. I felt their presence like physical warmth at my back. We're here, little one, Joon-ho said, his deep voice gentle. All of us. We'll protect you, Taekyung promised. We'll understand what's happening, Min-jae added. For the first time, I didn't feel alone in this. Whatever Hana was becoming, whatever I had been made to be, we had them now. The thought was both terrifying and comforting. Hana's eyes suddenly widened. The silver light intensifying. She rose higher, her small body arching as if pulled by invisible strings. Hana! I cried, reaching for her. Appa! She gasped, her voice once again layered with something ancient. The moon is calling. We must go to the temple. What temple? Joon-ho asked sharply. But I knew. Deep in memories I shouldn't have, couldn't have, I knew. The moon temple, I whispered. The sacred place where the first packs were formed. Hana nodded, her eyes fixed on mine. Mama, she said, using the ancient term for a male Omega parent, the moon is calling. The moon temple had been abandoned for centuries, its location lost to all but the oldest pack records. Yet, Hana led us unerringly through the storm, floating several feet ahead, her silver eyes illuminating the path. This shouldn't exist, Min-jae murmured, as ancient stone steps appeared before us, climbing higher into the mountains. The temple was destroyed during the Great Pack War. Apparently not, Taekyung replied, supporting Ji-ho, who had finally regained consciousness, but remained weak. I walked between Joon-ho and Min-jae, my eyes never leaving Hana's glowing form. The bond between us pulsed with each step, growing stronger as we climbed. I can feel it, Joon-ho said, quietly. The old power. It's been sleeping. The steps ended at a massive stone archway carved directly into the mountainside. Symbols I shouldn't recognize, but somehow did covered its surface. The ancient language of the first werewolves. The worthy may enter, I translated without thinking. The bonded may remain. The divided shall perish. The triplets stared at me in shock. How did you... Min-jae began. I don't know, I admitted. It's like remembering something I never learned. Hana passed through the archway, her silver light illuminating a vast chamber beyond. We followed, Ji-ho hesitating at the threshold. I can't, he said, trying to step forward but meeting invisible resistance. It won't let me through. Stay here, I told him. We'll come back for you. Inside, the temple took my breath away. Massive columns carved from the living rock supported a domed ceiling open to the sky. At the center, a circular pool reflected the stars above. The walls were covered with murals depicting the history of our kind, the first shift, the formation of packs, the great wars. And there, on the far wall, a scene that made my heart stop. 3 alphas surrounding a single Omega, a child floating between them, silver light emanating from its eyes. The prophecy, Min-jae whispered, adjusting his glasses as he stared at the ancient painting. It's been waiting for us. Hana drifted to the center of the pool, the water parting beneath her as if reluctant to touch her. She turned to face us, her expression serene, but her eyes ancient. The judgment begins, she said, her child's voice echoing unnaturally in the vast space. The pool's water began to glow, rising in a swirling column around her. Images formed in the liquid, scenes from the past, present, and possible futures. I saw myself as a child in the lab, scientists noting with approval as I healed from wounds that should have been fatal. I saw the council plotting, Elder Kyung speaking. The vessel must never know its purpose. When the time comes, we will take the child and eliminate the Omega. I saw the triplets as teenagers, being subtly guided toward me through manipulated encounters and engineered compatibility. But then I saw something unexpected. Joon-ho refusing a direct order to forget me after my exile. Min-jae secretly researching my whereabouts. Taekyung threatening Elder Kyung for information. They feared you, Hana's voice explained as the images shifted. Not just the child, but you, Mama, the vessel who could unite bloodlines. The water showed a possible future. Packs united under a single banner, peace replacing centuries of war. Then, another future. Destruction, chaos. The last werewolves hunted to extinction by humans who discovered their existence through escalating pack conflicts. Two paths, Hana continued. Unity or extinction. The choice must be made tonight. The water receded, leaving her standing in the center of the now dry pool. She looked suddenly exhausted, the silver light in her eyes flickering. The bond must be completed, she said, her voice small again. Before the moon sets. I looked to the open dome above. The storm had cleared, and the moon, no longer blood-red but full and bright, hung directly overhead. What does that mean? I asked, stepping closer to her. How do we complete the bond? The marks, Min-jae realized, his hand going to his chest where his bond mark to me still glowed faintly. They were interrupted. Never fully formed. Because we were separated, Joon-ho added. The bond needs all 5 of us together, under the full moon. Taekyung moved to my side, his hand finding mine. We need to mark you again, he said softly. All of us. And you need to mark us. I hesitated, years of hurt and mistrust warring with the pull of the bond. And if I refuse? Then the packs remain divided, Hana said simply, and eventually fall. What about you? I asked, kneeling before my daughter. What happens to you if we complete this bond? Her small face softened into a smile. I become just Hana again, until I'm grown. The choice seemed clear, and yet, was any of it real? I asked, turning to face the triplets. Or was it all just genetics and manipulation? Joon-ho stepped forward, his expression more open than I'd ever seen it. I've loved you since you beat me at chess in the pack library. No scientist engineered that moment. I calculated 17 different ways to make you notice me, Min-jae admitted. None of them worked until I simply asked for your help with pack history, the one subject I actually struggled with. I hated you at first, Taekyung said with a half smile. You were too perfect, too special. Then I saw you crying behind the training hall after Elder Kyung berated you. That's when I knew. Simple moments, real emotions. Perhaps the beginning was manufactured, but what grew between us was ours. I nodded slowly. What do we need to do? Stand in the center, Hana directed, moving aside. I took my place in the pool, the triplets forming a triangle around me. Hana floated above us, the moonlight streaming down to bathe us all in silver. The marks must be renewed with intent, she instructed. Not heat or instinct, but choice. Joon-ho approached first, his eyes asking permission. I nodded, tilting my head to expose my neck where his mark had once been. His lips brushed my skin before his teeth sank in, not the frenzied bite of heat, but deliberate, claiming. I choose you, he whispered against my skin, now and always. Min-jae was next, his analytical precision giving way to trembling emotion as he marked the spot over my heart. I choose you, he echoed, against all logic and reason. Taekyung's mark at the base of my spine was fierce but controlled, his forehead resting against my shoulder afterward. I choose you, he growled, no matter what comes. The bond flared between us, golden threads of light connecting our marks, but it wasn't complete. Now you, Hana prompted. I turned to each alpha in turn, placing my mark upon them: Joon-ho's forearm, Min-jae's chest, Taekyung's side. With each bite, I felt the bond strengthen, power flowing through all of us. "I choose you, Bandi," I said to each one. Despite everything. Because of everything. The final connection snapped into place as moonlight concentrated into a beam that struck Hana's birthmark. The crescent moon on her wrist glowed golden, then silver, then pure white. "The Eternal Pack bond is formed," she announced, her voice once again layered with ancient power. Energy surged through the temple, the murals glowing as if freshly painted. I felt every pack member across the country, their bonds, their loyalties, their fears, as if they stood before me. But the power was too much. My vision darkened at the edges as the energy drained my strength. I had been made for this, but even engineered vessels have limits. My knees buckled. Joon-ho caught me before I hit the ground, his face tight with concern. "Something's wrong," Min-jae said, checking my pulse. "The bond is drawing too much from him." "Hana," Taekyung called desperately. "How do we stop it?" She floated down, the silver fading from her eyes as she touched my face with small fingers. "The vessel must channel the initial surge," she said, her voice fading back to that of my daughter. "It hurts, but it won't last forever, Appa." I could feel my consciousness slipping as the bond pulled more energy from me to stabilize itself. But I could also feel Hana's power settling, the ancient force retreating to leave just my little girl. "If she lives," I whispered to Joon-ho as darkness closed in. "Let me sleep." Sunlight filtered through the shattered dome of the moon temple, dust motes dancing in golden beams. The storm had passed, leaving behind a sky so clear and blue it seemed impossible after the chaos of the night before. I drifted in and out of consciousness, aware of voices around me but unable to respond. The bond hummed beneath my skin, no longer draining but stabilizing, finding its balance. "His vitals are improving," Min-jae's voice, clinical yet tender. "The worst has passed." "He's been out for 12 hours, Taekyung, impatient as always. "How much longer?" "As long as it takes," Joon-ho, steady and calm. "We nearly lost him once. We won't rush this." Small fingers brushed my cheek. "Appa is dreaming of before," Hana's voice, blessedly normal. "When he was alone with me. I wanted to tell her I wasn't alone anymore, that we weren't alone, but darkness pulled me under again. When I finally opened my eyes, the sun was setting, painting the temple ruins in shades of amber and gold. I lay on a makeshift bed of cloaks, the triplets arranged protectively around me. Hana slept curled against my side, her small hand clutching my shirt. I shifted slightly, and 3 pairs of eyes instantly focused on me. "Don't move," Min-jae instructed, adjusting his glasses as he leaned forward to check my pulse. "Your body is still recovering." "Hana?" I whispered, my voice rough. "She's fine," Joon-ho assured me, his hand resting lightly on my shoulder. "The ancient power has receded. She's just our daughter now." Our daughter. The words sent a wave of emotion through me. "The council?" I asked. "In disarray," Taekyung said with grim satisfaction. "Dae-hyun didn't survive the explosion. The other elders are scrambling to maintain control, but word of the prophecy is spreading. Several packs have already pledged allegiance to the new bond," Min-jae added. "They're calling it the Eternal Pack." I tried to sit up, wincing as my body protested. The triplets moved immediately to support me, their touches careful but possessive. "Easy," Joon-ho murmured. "You channeled enough power to light up half of Seoul." I looked down at my chest where Min-jae's mark should be. Instead of the familiar bite, a silver crescent moon now glowed beneath my skin. I touched it, in wonder. All our marks changed, Taekyung explained, showing me his side where my bite had transformed into the same silver crescent. The bond is different now, stronger. And Hana? I asked, brushing a strand of hair from my sleeping daughter's face. Her birthmark remains, but the power is dormant, Min-jae said. According to the temple inscriptions I've been studying, she won't access the full extent of her abilities until she comes of age. So she can just be a child, I whispered, relief washing through me. For now, Joon-ho nodded. We've established a safe compound at the edge of Pac territory. Loyal members only, with triple security protocols. You've been busy while I was out, I observed. Taekyung's lips quirked in a half-smile. Did you expect us to just sit around and watch you sleep, little Omega? The familiar teasing warmed something in my chest. For 5 years, I'd been running, hiding, surviving. The thought of safety, of home, seemed almost too fragile to trust. What happens now? I asked, looking at each of them in turn. Taekyung knelt beside me, his usual brashness softened as he took my hand. You came back to us, he said, simply. That's what matters. Min-jae joined him, adjusting his glasses in that nervous gesture I'd once found so endearing. No more lies, he promised. No more running. We rebuild together, with complete transparency. Joon-ho completed the circle, his steady presence anchoring us all as he gently kissed my hand. We'll protect her, he vowed, glancing at Hana. Together. The bond hummed between us, golden threads of connection visible beneath our skin in the fading light. Not just the 4 of us, but Hana too, our perfect, impossible miracle. She stirred, blinking sleepily as she sat up. Appa's awake, she said with a smile that melted my heart. Then her expression changed, her head tilting as if listening to something only she could hear. Hana? I questioned, instantly alert to the shift in her demeanor. She moved to the center of the temple, looking up through the shattered dome at the darkening sky. The first stars were appearing, and with them, the moon, full and bright. But behind it, barely visible, a second shape shimmered into existence. Another moon, translucent and ghostly, where no celestial body should be. Appa, Hana whispered, her eyes reflecting twin moons as she turned back to us. They're coming. The triplets were on their feet instantly, moving to flank us protectively. Who's coming, little one? Joon-ho asked, his voice calm despite the tension radiating from him. Hana pointed to the phantom moon. The others, the ones from beyond. Min-jae's scientific mind worked visibly behind his eyes. Impossible, he murmured. Unless the prophecy wasn't just about uniting our packs, I finished, understanding dawning with cold clarity, but preparing for something more. Taekyung's hand found mine, squeezing tightly. Whatever comes, he promised fiercely, they'll have to go through all of us. I stood on shaky legs, supported by my alphas, watching the ghostly moon shimmer against the night sky. We had survived betrayal, separation, and rebirth. We had formed a bond that defied science and tradition. We had created a miracle in our daughter. Whatever was coming, we would face it together. The silver crescents on our skin began to glow in unison as Hana reached for my hand, her small fingers intertwining with mine. Above us, the phantom moon pulsed once, twice, then faded from view, a warning, or perhaps a promise. The battle for our packs was over. The war for our world was just beginning.